Welcome to He Did This to Me, the sports podcast from a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. My name is Nick, a.k.a. Goody, and with me is my old man, a.k.a. the big guy, Noel. And just like his name, all we do is win. Let's get to the show. It's time to begin. Before we get started, please give us a like and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Me and the big guy do this show every single week. The New York Sports Shorts come at you every weekday, and Nick on Knicks will be waiting for you the morning after every single Knick game. I'm the hardest working man in new media, and we appreciate all the love and the support. Tough night last night with those Knicks, though. First game of the season.
Yeah.
Where it's a ring ceremony. We're talking about the Knicks looking to crash it, looking to prove that this team that was, built essentially to beat the Celtics was ready to show them what time it was. 10 seconds in, Tatum hits a three. That was a sign of things to come. 29 made threes, tying the all-time record. They missed the last 13, which, brought them down to 47.5% and saved us from being in history as having the most threes hit against us in a regular season game. Talk to me, big guy. How did you feel about what you saw about the Knicks in their debut?
Oh, it's disgusting. I mean, I obviously didn't feel very good. I was pretty bummed out watching us get smoked like that. Offensively, obviously, the numbers look decent and so forth, but defensively, you could see it from the start of the game. We did not come out with intensity. Listen, I see some people saying that, yeah, they were contested shots and some of those shots were contested. I think there's a big difference between contested shots where we happen to be in front of them. The deal is this. We did not make them uncomfortable at any point. Okay? So I don't know what you want to call that. If you want to get more, if you want them to, be more either up in their face or just up in their space, they were never uncomfortable during the game. They were just free-flowing, moving around. And also, too, Nick, a lot of times I watch games and I judge it this way, believe it or not. I look at guys running out to, contest a shot and also fighting over picks. And in my mind, I always compare them to John Starks doing exactly that. And very few people do it with the zest and zeal that John Starks did. And that's my barometer, man. I mean, if you're really busting your ass to get out there and do stuff, you would be doing like John Starks does. But that's not the case here.
Listen, the very first play, like I said, within 10 seconds, they run an easy little pick and roll, and Tatum steps into a wide open three. Now, first and foremost, I don't know why we're playing drop coverage against Jason Tatum and letting him just step into a three like that. We can't play any particular coverage. We have to mix it up. If you take players like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and you run the same coverage at them on a pick and roll every single time, they're going to figure it out and they're going to start lighting you up. I totally agree with you. I've seen people talking about, they were making every single shot. And there are NBA games where you watch that and you see it typically for a quarter or a half, and then they regress to the mean, or they even end up going bad to even out to what their typical average is. In this game, there was, once they started going, some threes that they were making that were contested that were like, hey, man, tip your cap to that guy. But early on in the game, we helped get that fire going by having absolutely no type of intensity and no type of want to actually bother these guys. It seems like we were just kind of it's like the Knicks were playing as if they were playing in some sort of like summer league pickup game.
It was very polite. We were very polite.
Listen, Bridges, OG, especially when they're busting our ass. How about one of y'all just say, like, I'm going to get up in this guy. And if I get a foul called or whatever, blah, 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 but like, I got to do something to bother this guy, to get this guy off his spot, because it seemed like everybody on their team was doing whatever they wanted. It was a pick and roll, and then it was one or two passes, and it was a wide open three all night long. And it was just like, is this a Tom Thibodeau coach team? What exactly is going on? It was very disappointing because they're the team that came off of a championship, and they're the team that came out last night and looked like the hungrier bunch. They're the team that came out last night with something to prove. And everybody keeps talking about that with the Celtics. And I blame Steve Kerr. You
blame Steve Kerr because he didn't play Jason Tatum in in the Olympics, so you got Jason Tatum all worked up.
Well, first and foremost, before even that, he had something to do with Jaylen Brown not being on the team. I'm sure he is involved in the personnel decisions, and he's all fired up because he's not a, he feels like he should be there, and many people share that opinion with him. And then in addition to that, you also have the Jason Tatum aspect where he's getting DMP's coach's decision. And now these two guys just won a championship, and everybody's talking about how they had such an easy road. Jason Tatum didn't shoot well, and now he comes out and he shoots the cover off the ball, 14 of 18. He's 8 of 11 from behind the arc, has 37 points along with 10 assists. And you know how much I like Tatum's game. I've always felt like he is one of the five best players. I felt like he's one of the 5 best players in the league for probably the last 3 or 4 years, and that's no crazy proclamation. I'm pretty sure he was first team All-NBA last year, but his ability to handle, to pass, and to shoot, I think he's the best combination of size and skill in the NBA right now.
Yeah, he's a very impressive player. I wish it was as easy as blaming Steve Kerr, but as we know, the majority of the blame falls on the players.
I think the whole league should blame Steve Kerr because this team that just won, as opposed to coming back and being a little bit, fat on the hog, they're coming back with something to fucking prove.
Well, we need to have something to prove, and we're not.
Yep.
We were playing like you said, like it was an exhibition, and we didn't play with any grit. I do wonder who on our team is going to be the gritty guy to get, because look, man, this is ridiculous. Okay, they were killing us from 3, and what did we do? We added what we thought was the best wing defenders in the league. We should have 2, maybe 3 of the best wing defenders in the league, and yet these guys were killing us from outside. Again, like you said, Nick, we got to get up in them. And like I said, you got to make them uncomfortable. How about delivering a hard foul one time? Just once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. But do something to combat the situation. And listen, there was a moment, Nick, where Jalen Brunson got knocked down, and then Jaylen Brown jumped.
Because Brunson went down, and then he tripped. He tried to say, I don't think it was intentional at all, but anyway,
I thought it was intentional by Brunson. But he played it off. He played it off really well. But it was he definitely put his foot out more than he had to, Nick. And he was annoyed with the way he got knocked down, and that's fine. I don't think it was a terrible thing. I would never tell my son or my team to do that. But if somebody on the team did that, and it was it wasn't a big deal. But I thought Brown noticed it. And Brown was annoyed afterwards. I saw that between them. That said, they were all hugs after the game,
Oh, no, they definitely had something going on, and he picked Brunson's pocket one time and forced him into an 8-second violation another time. Absolutely, Nick. Again, our ability to beat a press or our ability to inbound the ball is Brunson figure out some way to get the ball and do it all by yourself. I don't fucking understand why we don't do something to alleviate that. It's been an issue for the Knicks now. Last season, it was a huge issue for us late in the season and specifically in the playoffs. And yet this season, we start the season again with that bullshit. And it's like, you have a guy like Cat who can handle the ball. Why doesn't he flash to the middle like you've taught in basketball your entire life and be able to take that pass and give it back to him so he doesn't have to dribble up against Jaylen Brown, one of the better defenders in the league? Or, Nick, just have a big set a flipping pick at half court. Right, set a pick. How about that? We never set a pick in the backcourt, in the half court to alleviate pressure. We never, ever do it, and it's so fucking easy. It just doesn't make any sense. I can't. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Listen, a couple stats I saw that I thought were pretty telling. Okay. At one point in the second half, the Knicks were shooting 59.1% from the field. The Celtics at the same time were shooting 58% from the field, and the Celtics led 99-70. They led by 29 points, Nick, and they were shooting 1 percentage point less than us. I'd love it if you could look it up. That tells me they got a lot more shots than us. Okay? Because they kept getting offensive rebounds, So they got a lot more shots than us, and that's what was killing us. And they outshot us 95-78. Dad. You know what I'm saying, Nick? They're taking 20 more shots than us. And listen, Nick, a big part of our success last year was offensive rebounding. Yep. And obviously defensive rebounding. We were a good rebounding team. We have to be a good rebounding team to win. We just have to be. But who has it in their DNA? Who do we need to?
We know that Josh Hart does, but the fact of the matter is, people talk about Josh Hart as a power forward. We need to stop that bullshit. Josh Hart's a really good rebounding 2 guard or a 3, maybe. Okay.
Josh Hart
he's 6'5".
He's good at getting some 50-50 balls, 70-30 balls when he's the 30 according to Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra. But at the end of the day, he's not a end of possession. After we make a great defensive possession, this is going to be the guy who is going to box out and get the defensive rebound. No. And who was that? Julius. And, that's the thing. Julius is going to get you 10 rebounds a game, and he wasn't a great offensive rebounder. So most of those are coming on the defensive end. And now we don't necessarily have a guy with that type of history. And that's one of the things that makes me very nervous is that we only got 5 offensive rebounds yesterday.
That's not good.
That's not good. And they got Hartenstein, and Mitch, those guys are liable to get 5 offensive rebounds by themselves in a game. And then they got 11 offensive rebounds, and every single one of their offensive rebounds ended up in a wide open 3 that they hit. Every single one.
Absolutely. But let me throw this out there, because I heard somebody suggesting this today, with the possibility of, if you changed up, and I know it's early, but I don't personally love Josh Hart in the starting lineup. Okay, I just don't. He doesn't work for me there. And I would, if Precious Achiuwa was healthy, would it make sense to start another big alongside Cat?
No, because then you're going away from doing.
Then you're right.
Why'd you make the trade? Why'd you make the trade? It's the whole
Cat's
point.
Still better than Julius in a lot of ways, but
he's not better than Julius plus Dante. You know what I mean? I think the sum of those two give you more output. I think it was more of a wanting to change a style of play and imitating the champs, which is something that we always see in this league.
If we can't rebound, it won't matter.
Exactly. It has to be something that, as a team, that we attack, and that we, OG and Bridges especially are going to have to really make an emphasis on that. And I think that OG is a pretty good rebounder. Honestly, I think he does a good job of that. He seems to, when he's in the right spot, he boxes out some. But hey, we gave up too many offensive rebounds yesterday, and like you said, offensively it wasn't the issue. Defensively is where we have a problem, and then also I just feel as though this
too nice.
Exactly. There was just an overall lack of intensity. The only person who really looked like they were really getting after it was Brunson, honestly. And I thought that Brunson looked pretty spry. I thought he played pretty well. He ends up with 22 points in 24 minutes. And OG ends up being 1 of 7 from the field. I will say that Bridges, the first half, we were both like, this guy's a disaster. It almost seems, though, and I'm telling you that I really do. I watched the highlights again, because I saw some of this and I wanted to make sure that my eyes weren't deceiving me. It's like he got rid of the hitch at halftime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In the second half, all of a sudden, his shot looked like
he got rid of whatever some stupid shit some idiot shooting coach was telling him, and just do what you do, man.
Who adds a hitch? Who adds a hitch 5-6 years into their career? It's absolutely ridiculous. And somehow, some way, in the second half, it looked like he's got that weird high release, but it looked like that hitch was gone, and he started hitting shots. And I think there's two things.
That's the saving grace. Him and Deuce.
Exactly. Those are the two things to take. And the fact that I thought that Brunson looked very spry himself. I think that Brunson looks bouncy, just as far as his overall his physicality. He looks bouncy.
Yeah, but you know what, Nick? I was talking to your Uncle Godfrey about this last night. I'm praying for this guy to stop with trying to draw offensive fouls as much. I get it. That's part of his game, and that's what he does well. But we can't have him get injured. And literally, I just feel like every shot, every time he goes to the basket, he's going to the ground. And I just don't think that's a great recipe. But I know that's his game. I know.
And I've told you before that I think that he's one of these guys, like some NBA players, they I forget what team it was.
Right. They
like a pro skateboarder and shit, because it's easy. It's safer, as opposed to trying to catch yourself on your feet to fall to the ground. Listen, all that
end up in a broken metatarsal or something.
Well, all that, and the way that he hurt himself last year was swiping at a ball and hitting a guy's knee. That's how he broke his hand. You know what I mean? So you never fucking know how it's going to happen. We can't ask him to not do that. And also, I think that it's like, for him as a defender, the fact that he takes charges is like, it's almost like a move for him as an offensive player. You know what I mean?
Right,
Where it's like,
right.
It affects how other teams go at him because they know that's part of his arsenal. And that's really his greatest asset on offense. So I'm sorry, on defense. So I don't really see him
ever catch a knee to the gut and wish he hadn't done that. Hey, one other stat I saw last night that I thought was telling. Celtics were 29 of their first 48 from 3-point range.
Craziness.
That's insane. 29 of 48. That's, I think, a little over 60%. They started the game.
There was one time where they ran like an inbound play, and it was like one pass, and it ends up with this guy freaking Sam Hauser with a wide open three. And I'm like, this guy's not in the game for anything else.
Other reason. He's never driving to the basket. You should be within 2 feet of this man at all times when he's out by the 3-point line. There's no other reason for him to be there.
And the only person I saw really like get into somebody on defense was Deuce. And then Deuce on offense was fantastic. I mean, if this is the Deuce that we're going to get this year, we're talking about possibly a 6th man of the year. We're talking about a major asset for this team. We're talking about somebody who might need to be in the starting lineup. He was not just hitting wide open shots. He was hitting contested shots. He was dribbling into the shots and going to the hole, which are the things that I'm always begging for more from Deuce. And we know what he does on the defensive end. Deuce looked fantastic last night.
Fantastic. I mean, come on, man. And then he's got the wild hair like the Tasmanian devil thing. You know, he's got it all going on this year, man. Let's go, Deuce.
Listen, honestly,
I'd like him to get a trim.
Not even trim. I like it when he has it some sort of like braided or something. What, you don't like when people have long hair? No,
but it's too much. It's too wild. I think it's just way.
To me, it just seems like it has to affect his, his aerodynamics. You know what I'm saying? Like if he had a little bit more,
he's got a little drag. He's got a little drag.
Exactly. But maybe that helps him like drift or some shit. Who knows? I think that Deuce, man, he looked great. Karl Anthony Towns has to be more aggressive. That thing about him is that, hey, Cat, you're good as a guy who's like the 1B, and you're okay with that, and you don't stop the ball, and all those things are great. But at the end of the day, you're going to make $60 million a year. We need you to shoot more than 9 times.
And Nick, I need Cat taking 15 shots a game minimum. Okay.
But there was times where he was aggressive. There was a time where Drew Holiday was holding him, and I was like, yo, dude, you cannot fucking let it. Now we know Drew Holiday is better at that than anybody. As far as like,
I don't care.
But
just turn around and shoot over him.
But there was a couple possessions where he was like, patient, and they gave him the ball and he got it back and he put up that little lefty hook or whatever. I thought that he did that well. I thought that we didn't try to exploit that and try to go after that as much as we should.
We need to go back at that nonstop. And listen, man, there's a couple times if I'm his coach, I'd say, listen, I need at least 1 2-handed dunk from you every game, preferably 2. Fair. You know what I'm saying? Roll to the basket and dunk on somebody. And oh, by the way, man, I want to root for this guy Sims, but he's terrible even on the alley-oops. I mean, some alley-oop, I saw Brons try to throw him an alley-oop. Mitch would have surely dunked and just had, just rocked the rim.
100%.
This guy missed the ball. And I don't know what's going on with this guy. I don't know what's going on.
Dad, he comes into the game. He has his lack of defensive awareness. The very first play that he comes in, and now at this point, fucking Tatum is bacon grease at this point, okay? And he comes in and he immediately just goes underneath, and Tatum just comes up and just takes 2 dribbles into like an easy 3, bang, of course. And then 2 plays, like I think if it wasn't the next possession, it was 2 possessions later, he gets switched onto Tatum. And he gets switched on the Tatum, and instead of getting up and crowding it, like you have to have the defensive awareness to know that this guy, the way that he's shooting, I make him dribble around me and see what happens there. But I cannot let this guy, within 3 feet of the 3-point line, pull up and shoot a 3 without me being so close that I could block his shot. And he lets him do that again, and then boom. And that was a point where I think we had just cut it to 15, and it was like bang bang up 21. And it was just like. And with this guy Sims, man, what was all that bullshit I saw with Mike Bibby with him shooting jump shots with both hands?
I told you, you're sending me these snippets, and I was like, come on. Yeah, right.
One time I saw him on the block.
Dribble the ball more than twice.
I saw him on the block one point, and he had just committed a foul, and he was on the block, like, waiting for the free throw shooter, and he was literally like doing like something like this, like twiddling his hair or some shit like that. And I was like, Sims, get your fucking head in the game. Stop twiddling your hair and think about the fact that old ass Al Horford is busting your ass right now. How about that? Come on, man. Yo, give me all the Huck Party. I don't want any more.
I want to see Huck Party. I'm telling you, we're not going to see.
He gets a block. You saw his block.
That's right. No. And when he made that block, Nick, I said to myself, Sims would never make that block.
I've never seen Sims make a recovery block. The fact that
was
Jericho Sims,
that was Mitch-esque.
And the fact that Jericho Sims, at his size and his athletic ability, has such little rim protection or effect on anything that happens in the paint, it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. And with his jumping ability, I mean, what are you doing, guy? He's just a guy that can a really superior athlete. Maybe he needs to go fight MMA or something like that. Maybe he'd have the greatest fucking big high kicks. No. He might just be super intense when somebody punches him in the face.
He's not. Well, he would have to get hit in the face first because he definitely would not come out intense. I mean, he's never done that. That guy, I'm telling you, give me all the Huck Party. And what did I tell you about my man Pacome Dadier? I told you he was going to be getting some rotational minutes.
He's in the mix.
He is my dark horse to end up being the starting two over Josh Hart, because I think Josh Hart works better with the second unit. I think Dadier's
defense is shaky on
that. That's the thing that, he's a young guy, he's European, and that's why you put him in there with two other really good defenders, so therefore they can mask it a little bit, and then you have Josh Hart kind of more running the show in that second unit. I actually thought that Josh Hart did a good job offensively yesterday. He was cutting to the basket, only 4 rebounds though. Again, Josh Hart, Josh Hart, if he's going to start, he has to average 8 rebounds a game.
Yeah, he has to assert himself more. And even just before the season started, and they said Josh Hart said some bullshit to the press, I don't know what I'm doing out there, whatever. Sometimes I feel like Josh Hart is a bit of a drama queen. Sure. He likes to, he likes to stir it up somewhat and do something. He's an emotional guy, and it doesn't mean he's not unhappy. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's just a disgruntled teammate or whatever. I think he just answered the question in such a way, and Josh might say anything, so I don't think it's a big deal. But he has to play better. Yeah, everybody has to bring the intensity, Nick. I don't think that our intensity last year was born because of Julius Randle. No, but Ragu certainly added to it.
Yeah, he added to it. And I will say that when I was watching their game, I was, finishing up my son's football practice. And then when I first looked at the game, they were down, the Minnesota was down by 12. And I looked at their stats, and neither of their stats were good. I think at that point, Dante was 0 of 6 or something like that, 0 of 3 from 3. And Julius ended up, he didn't take a ton of shots, but he ended up shooting a decent percentage and having an okay night. But listen, I didn't get to actually watch it so much, but I personally, I root for those guys. You know how much I love Julius. You know how much I love Ragu. They're not the type of guys where they leave and I'm like, yo, fuck those guys or whatever. But if last night they would have had both huge nights and Minnesota and they got a big win and shit, that would have hurt a little bit extra.
No doubt about it. Listen, I watched some of that game where I checked in and I watched some of it. Couple things. Randall is still trying to do that bull in the china shop shit where, I saw 3. I watched the game, Nick.
How many pump fakes?
For 15 minutes. And in those 15 minutes, he had at least 3 times where he just tried to put his shoulder down, get to the rim, and he either threw the ball away. One time he put up a wild shot, and it went in, which was amazing. Another time, I think he did hit Gobert in the shins. Or somebody else. And
you got to be ready for that fireball if you're going to play with
Julius. Got to be ready for the low ball.
I bet you Ragu was probably telling motherfuckers that too.
Right.
Ragu was very good. Ragu would catch that ball right off his shoe tops and pull up for a 3.
But listen to me. And I was on the phone with your Uncle Godfrey. And listen, there's no doubt about it, man. I saw some bad body language from Julius last night. 1,000%. One time where he wanted to pass from Ragu didn't give it to him. He got pissed off. You could see it. Then other times in the game where he just hung his head and shook his head and shit. And I was like, That's bad juju. That's bad juju coming
that's
back.
Part of the Julius Randle experience. Even when he's been,
he had gotten better with that. He was starting. He looked like the old Julius, Nick, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
He looked a little bit like the old Julius, and I was like, not what you want to see.
Right.
You
Even
know,
when he got
who
better.
on that team? Who on that team is gonna talk shit to him? And there's another thing me and Godfrey are talking about. Yeah, if Ant decides to go buck and gets annoyed because shit ain't going well and is like flipping on cats, I think Julius is the guy who's going to be like, yo, you need to get out of my face with that bullshit. You know that Julius won't take kindly to that sort of thing. He's surely not going to take kindly to any crosswords from Gobert.
Nah, nobody cares about nobody. I honestly feel like there's like. I would wonder. I would love to see some sort of poll and see, like, I would say that Gobert is probably one of the least liked players in the league by other NBA players. I mean, remember when he got put in a chokehold by Draymond? It's not like anybody was like, doing it. Anybody was like, no one really seen that offended or that hot about it on Minnesota.
Well, funny you should bring that up because Bart and Han were talking about it today, and Bart said, you heard that when he asked Big Cat?
Yeah.
The cat was like, well, what do you want me to do? Put him in a full Nelson too? And he's like, yeah.
Okay, but this is the thing. When it comes to this
that happens on the Knicks. I want Cat to choke that other guy.
This brings it full circle with both the Anthony Edwards situation and what you asked about what happens when he starts getting at guys, and when it comes to that Cat situation and how he should have responded. Those days are done. That's not the way of the NBA anymore. You only got a few assholes out here like Draymond. There's not too many people pulling a Jimmy Butler or pulling some Kobe shit like they did, back in the day, and getting at all their teammates like that. Anthony Edwards, as much as he's a dog and he's got some fire behind him, I don't see him doing that with his teammates. And as far as the NBA is concerned, the days of like multiple guys like getting into some sort of like fracas, if it doesn't involve Draymond, and then even then it's probably going to be very one-sided. I think those days are behind us.
Yeah, well, if somebody decides to do some stupid shit to somebody on our team, if somebody does some stupid shit to Jalen Brunson and knocks the shit out of him, I need somebody on our team who will come up and at least grab a guy by the chest or something. I need one guy on our team who'll do that, or at least get in the guy's face and talk shit like I know DiVincenzo would have done. Okay,
maybe
Dante would do that. He'd at least get in somebody's face and talk some shit.
Okay,
who on our team will do that now? Who?
I think Josh Hart maybe is the guy there.
At best.
You definitely would like him to be a bigger guy. Maybe Precious. I could see him having a little bit of that
what's his name? Especially with them being such good wing defenders. Somebody's got to, they got to put like some gunpowder in the food of like OG and your man Mikal Bridges. That's what they used to do with dogs, supposedly, to make them mean when I was a kid. Put gunpowder in their food, so maybe it'll work for them.
Nobody was actually doing that shit, and there's zero chance.
No, there were people doing it. I don't think it worked. Well, they just poisoned the dogs.
Because exactly, there's no way that gunpowder makes you mean. It is
Billy Wilkins,
an explosive aid.
Billy Wilkins' dog. You can ask your Uncle Godfrey. Billy Wilkins' dog, Duke, was a very mean German Shepherd, and he chased us down the hall and bit your Uncle Godfrey on the ass. Godfrey had to get his ass tended to by Billy's mom. It was awesome.
Why is he not controlling your dog?
He got out the door. Billy and Michael were crazy.
But so then what did she tend to Godfrey's ass out in the hallway, or did he have to go inside the home?
No. Once they got the dog under control, Godfrey was in the bedroom and she was like putting some alcohol or something on the gashes in his ass.
Under control. Okay. Yeah. All right. So listen, man. Now we got the Pacers coming up this Friday. Hey, man. The Pacers are going to come out with something to prove, too.
That's right.
And it's going to be our home opener. And I really hope that Tom Thibodeau, he was soft-serving it yesterday in the post game and to the media. I hope that he's not doing that behind closed doors and ripping them. I like what Brunson had to say. Brunson was taking full responsibility, as a team, and talking about the fact that, hey, we don't got time. We can't be sitting around saying, oh, we need to gel and this and blah, 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 blah. We got to get it done. We got to go now. And I hope that they all come out with a certain level of intensity on Friday because, it's so early in the season. And as we know, things can change. Last year, when we made the trade for OG, we were 17-15. The Tom Thibodeau team usually starts to get humming around January and then finishes strong. But with the New York media and the way that it is, I'm telling you, we go out, we get blown out by Indiana. Everybody's going to start being like, oh, what's up with this team? Now, is this the Jets of the NBA? I already heard somebody make that comparison today as far as like game one, the Jets against the Niners. They just were the more physical and the more ready and intense team. And then the Knicks, same thing. And yeah, there is a parallel there. It's early. Let's not, jump off any bridges just yet. But, we need to, in very short order, not only gel and start to play with a little bit more intensity, but I said this last night in Nick on Knicks, and I heard Alan Hahn talk about it and say it today as well. The Knicks need to figure out their identity.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if not, we're going to get run. And listen, man, like you said, this what's his name team. This Indiana team is going to come out ready to play, Nick. Yep. They're going to be getting after it, man. So if we don't do what we have to do, man, they're going to revel in trying to embarrass us on our home court. And listen, a key matchup to me is going to be Miles Turner against Cat. Okay, yep. Come on, Cat. I need you to bust this guy's ass, man. Seriously. I need you to bust his ass, and don't get stuck like he will, just shooting outside. I need you to take him down low and rough him up on occasion. Come on now, let's go.
Yeah. Couple more notes from last night's game before we move on. I'm really trying to come around, and there were some things in preseason that made me feel like I was getting a little bit more fond of Cam Payne. He comes in yesterday. Things are already going bad. He immediately turns it over like on the first play and just has a bad sequence. He ended up hitting some shots, but need him to be a little bit better for sure. Yeah. I would like to see Kolek get some more burn when it matters.
Yeah.
I like what he can bring, obviously, but, it seems like he is not – it doesn't seem like he's going to be in the rotation at the moment, and that's even with us losing this guy, Shamet. So that's very interesting to me. They had 43 points and 10 threes in the first quarter, did the Celtics. I actually put in my notes as I was watching the game. Not good, but hopefully not sustainable. Well, guess what? It was sustainable. They did it all night. This version of Tatum is terrifying. I mean, if we the version that we saw of Tatum last night is really something that the entire league should be very, very scared of for sure.
Yeah, but OG should have taken that personally last night. That should be when I come into that game. I'd see. Well, I mean, I don't know.
It was mostly Bridges, but this is the thing that was driving me nuts, Dad. Was that he would have Bridges on him, and then they would just simply run a screen with the center, and then he would have the center on him, and then that was it. That's all it took for them to just be able to get whatever matchup they want. We have to be able to say that, okay, we're not switching that anymore. Go over that. Right. Make it and how about we can either hedge, we can switch, or we can, drop. And those are three different things. And we're going to deploy different ones at different times throughout the game. Like, like I said, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you pick any of those and run them all the time against players of that caliber, they're going to figure out a way to pick it apart.
We never once at any point set up like we see the screens coming, set up where they know, listen, I'm fighting over that screen, man. If you want to set that screen, you go ahead and set it. But just understand, I'm busting over that screen. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm going under that screen, I need my big man to step out on that guy.
Right,
but none of that was happening. And I don't understand why. And we've got to be a lot better at this. We got to be a lot better.
It was really weird how unprepared and what a lack of a defensive plan it looked like we had for a Tom Thibodeau team. It's like I hope it's just a blip on the radar, because it's not. It's definitely it just very much surprised me. And like I said, hopefully it's an anomaly. We only shot 33s yesterday. That's not enough in today's NBA. You absolutely positively cannot. You're going to have a hard time winning if you only shoot 33 pointers. Some of that is we just need more attempts overall, but we need to shoot more threes specifically. What else? We talked about Deuce before. One thing about him, man, his shot is so soft. There's so much arc on it. His shots bounce up and hit the backboard and the rim and drop in more than like anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, that guy, I tell you, I don't know what metamorphosis he went through, but there's a lot of players in this league who need to do whatever program he's doing in the offseason because his progression from year one till now is amazing.
Amazing. I'm excited to see what he can do with the handle a little bit more this year. It seems like it's something that he's worked on, and that getting to the rim and being able to finish, especially with his athletic ability, will take him to an entire different level altogether. And obviously, we always love what he does on the defensive end. It's one game. Let's try and not get too crazy about it, but the Knicks definitely have some work to do. The Celtics are still clearly the class of the league in the Eastern Conference, and all this talk of us being on their level, that y'all need to everybody needs to shut the fuck up about that, okay? We need to go out and play some good ball and prove that, and please, like I'm saying, don't after 30 games be hovering around 500. We got to figure out a way. You know what? You start off and you're 5-5, that's one thing, okay? But once we get around to that 30 game mark, we need to be 7-8 games, above 500. And if we're not, at least like 18-12. So that's 6 games above 500. Like I said, I'm excited to see Pacome Dadier get more minutes. I need Huck Porty to get all of the Sims minutes, and I need these guys. OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. All this talk about what a great defensive team they're going to be. They should be embarrassed by what they let these other guys do yesterday. And I hope that they show how they felt about it and what we are going to see to come this Friday when we play against the Pacers.
I mean, listen, what's his name is a defensive gem, OG. He's not a great offensive player. He's a defensive gem who we just gave over $200 million to because he's so good at defense. He should take it personally anytime somebody else goes off on the other team that. He should be saying to guys, I got Tatum.
Yep.
Okay. Y'all leave him alone. I got Tatum. Okay. Cause that would have been the ideal matchup. I'm sorry, man, but he doesn't seem, none of those guys seem like they took anything personally. They look like it was just a day at the office and they're like, damn, well, that sucks. Okay. See you tomorrow, George. Okay. Good night, Bill. Come on, man. That ain't happening. That ain't working.
Yep. Listen, can't say it much better than that. They got some work to do, but I have faith that they will, obviously. And it's going to be an early test, and we will see Friday, home opener. You cannot come out flat in that game. You cannot come out flat in that game and do some dumb shit where you're down 12-13 in the first quarter. Like, just Knicks, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Oof, Jets. Speaking
of coming out flat.
Well, they for the season, but this game, second half they come out flat. They come out and they're up 15-13. They have brutal pick by Aaron Rodgers at the end of the first half that allows them the Steelers to get 3 more points. And
no, that allowed them to get to 15-13. They scored a touchdown off.
They scored a touchdown. Yeah. You're right. And
that was huge.
Sunday night was a tough one. First of all, okay, let's talk a little bit about these people that are scheduling sports. We have the Mets, the Jets, and the Liberty all on at the exact same time. I just thought that was kind of crazy. And I did hear somebody talk about how back in the day, they did used to communicate more and try not to like the Sunday night of the World Series, that first Sunday night, there wouldn't be Sunday night football, because they would give that to baseball just that one Sunday night in October. That doesn't happen anymore. And, luckily, I got the 2 screens. I had the Liberty on the laptop and, was able to watch it all. But tough night overall. We'll talk about our Metsies a little bit later. When it comes to the Jets, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about this team at this point. 37-15, get absolutely waxed by the Steelers. They come out in the second half and just blitz us, 10 points, 14 points, 24-0. Russell Wilson is, throwing touch passes down the field. Najee is running around and getting off. Your dogs are barking, and it just ends up being another shit show for the Jets. I mean, how are you feeling about that that game, and then also, all the hype that we had for the debut of Devontae Adams? He ends up with 3 catches and 30 yards and doesn't really have an impact on the game at all.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to sit here and talk like I told you so, but like I told you, Nick, a new shiny receiver don't do shit for you if you ain't doing the other things, And so, it doesn't mean anything. And, honestly, Aaron Rodgers has to play better. He did not play very well, Nick. He wasn't No, you know what? I was going to say he wasn't the fault that the reason we lost. He was kind of the reason that we lost, Nick. We were in control of the game, 15-6. The one thing you can't do at the end of the half right there is throw an interception or turn the ball over, and he threw the ball into triple coverage right there, Nick. Triple coverage, okay? And the ball got picked off. That's a big mistake, man. This is, listen, if Zach Wilson does the exact same game or any of our quarterbacks over the last couple of years that have been a total disaster, Trevor Siemian, Mike White, does exactly what this guy did, we would be screaming. They would be getting a lot more heat than Aaron Rodgers, I think, because everybody's saying people are giving Aaron Rodgers some heat, but, people don't want to say he's playing like shit, but he's kind of playing like, he's not playing that great, Nick. He played really good.
He's the highest rated player on the Jets offense in PFF.
Okay. That ain't saying shit when we have so many people that are lowly rated. I mean, he's more highly rated than Breece Hall.
Yes.
Breece Hall had a couple bad weeks, but then last week he was very good.
Yeah, I personally I put very little of the blame at the feet of Aaron Rodgers as far as his play on the field, just because his last game, not so great. He's definitely had some tough picks, but I think that quite often, he's running for his life, and and then he's also got balls hitting Garrett Wilson directly in the chest and bouncing off that end up turning into interceptions. I just think that I from what just my eye test, what forget PFF or anything else. I think that Rodgers is still playing some of the better quarterback play that I've seen on the Jets in quite some time. I mean, he ends up with 276 yards. I think Zach Wilson got 276 yards once or twice in his career.
The stats are eerily similar, with amount of yards for the season so far as they were last year. Aaron Rodgers is not doing anything.
As a team or for the quarterback?
I don't know.
Not Nick. For the quarterback.
I would check both, but also too. I mean, it's just a question of, I mean, listen, it's not just the interceptions; those sucked, and only one was really his fault. Like you said, the other one was on Garrett Wilson. But there were 2 or 3 throws, Nick, that he just missed. Yeah. That were right there to be made, and he just absolutely missed them. And, these are the kind of games, Nick, that I need Aaron Rodgers to win. But listen, let's call it like it is, too. Our defense was a joke in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, what do we want? We want 40 points because they were, absolutely doing whatever they wanted. They once again are able to set the edge, or we can't set the edge, and they're able to scheme us to a point where guys are running straight through gaping holes, and then they run plays where Russell Wilson is throwing the ball to a guy who's either wide open or running away from a defender who's behind him, and then they seem like they exploit the matchups. You get Eccles out there instead of DJ Reed, and they just go out and absolutely hunt this guy. They hunt him, and there's nothing we can do about it. This kid, Jalen Mills, who I can't say that I was super familiar with him, and he comes in and he plays safety, and I actually thought he played pretty well. He was involved in making some plays and breaking up some passes and whatnot, but Eccles was getting cooked. And overall, our defense, it's nowhere close to where it used to be, and I think a lot of that blame lays at the feet of Joe Douglas.
Well, defensive line, we're definitely subpar this year. It's not good. I mean, the guys that we had in the middle last year, Jefferson and John Franklin Myers, all those big guys we had, we need them back. We need guys like that and some more. I mean, Quinnen had a decent game, but he's just getting killed, and he hasn't been outstanding this year. I've totally given up the ship on this guy Clemens. I mean, he's getting tossed around like, I saw him get literally tossed off the ground the other day. And one point I wanted to make, okay, I feel bad for that Jets lineman who got blown up on a pickoff. He got blown up and he was motionless. You don't want to see anybody get hurt like that and whatnot. But
sure. Here
we go, Nick. This is exactly what I've always told you on a football field. You're a 300-pound man. There's been a pickoff. If you watch that video again, Nick, he's kind of standing there like nothing's going on around him, like he's just observing. He's spectating, and somebody comes and just blows him up, takes him off his feet. Dude, an interception just happened. You're on a football field. Are you not looking around, paying attention? That to me, Nick, is also the awareness. Okay, see, look at this too. Like they were talking about during the game, and they were saying how Tomlin coaches and all that, and how he coaches so hard, and how some people get run out of Pittsburgh because they can't take being coached that hard. But you know what, Nick? Look at the difference in tackling. That's what I always look at. We were constantly just sliding down guys, and they were coming and hitting us. Boom, we hit the ground. You know, we're trying to tackle their guys, and they're running through 2 or 3 players before somebody finally brings them down. And I'm on a rant here, but again, your man Sauce, man. Sauce is not Darrelle Revis. Okay, can we stop that talk right now?
Well, listen, Sauce has had somewhat of a down year thus far. He did, make first team All-Pro in his first 2, years in the league, which is something that no one has ever done as a corner. Or I think maybe one other person has. I'm not going to sit here and say that, he's not going to be, that he's not going to be this or that he's going to be
he's not going to be Revis. I feel confident in that. That's a high mark.
This far into their careers, Sauce is more accomplished and better than Revis was.
I know, but he's not going to be as good as Revis. I don't think. Nick, that handsy shit, people are starting to get hip to that. I told you this from year one, and I don't understand why people don't run at him more because they avoid throwing at him. I think if you go at him enough, you're going to get a pass interference call because he grabs people every single play.
Yeah,
I've never understood why people don't call it more, but I think people are starting to get hip to it, and it's not going to do well going forward. It's just my prediction. I hope I'm wrong.
Xavier Newman was the gentleman who got hurt. He had a hurt neck, and the latest report is that he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's got all feeling in his limbs.
Yeah. So he avoided catastrophe there, which is good. I got a story for you about Michael Clemens. I was talking to a buddy of mine talking about how much of an idiot he is when I was talking to him about the play against Buffalo, where obviously all he has to do is contain. Everybody knows it's going to happen, and he doesn't have the mental wherewithal to do the one thing that he needs to do on that play. And I was talking to him about it, and he said, "Oh, somebody that he knows went to college with him at was it Texas A&M? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Texas A&M." He says that the guy was an absolute psycho, like one of those people that just like you don't talk to, like nobody talks to him, like you start getting in the exchanges with him, and he starts he just gets a look in his eye and says some shit, and you're like, everybody's laughing. It's like, yo, Mike, yeah, and he's just like, he could just fly off the handle at any time, fights with teammates, all that shit. And so this guy, he wants to walk around with a barbed wire bat, and these are things that I'll say to him, about him on a. These are things that I'll say about him on a podcast, but I would never say in his presence.
Absolutely.
But especially after this report that I'm giving you right now. But yeah, man, that barbed wire bat. First of all, the barbed wire bat shit. I don't want to. You got to be a really good fucking player to be doing that shit. Okay.
He's not doing that anymore.
He did some walk-in shit this year. There was something about his walk-in this year.
I didn't know he did
that was noteworthy. Yes, it is. It just put a fucking shirt on. How about just get one of the Jets like shirts and walk your ass in there and figure out what your assignments are. And you're supposed to be so big and bad and tough. How about stop getting tossed around by every guard and tackle in the league? And it's mostly because of your lack of technique. Come on, man. I'm just tired of that guy. I'm tired of that guy. He needs to like that. See, that's the thing. We don't have the depth to do it, and we don't have the head coach. If like Belichick, if he did some shit like that, like he did against Josh Allen on that play to go ahead and ice the game, that's the type of thing that Belichick would sit him. He would be inactive the next week. He would be extreme with it to show everybody out there, do your job. You don't do your job, and you might not have a job. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we don't have that like leader up front like that. And I think that kind of just permeates throughout the entire team. And it's another lost season. Hey, could they go on some miracle run now? Of course they could. If they do, will I be so excited and talking about, look at the Jets. Here we come. We're getting hot at the right time. Yes, I'll do all of those things. But there's zero part of me that has any type of faith or even optimism that that's even a possibility right now.
I'm nervous about this game Sunday against the Patriots. This is anything but a sure thing.
We're 7-point favorites, and we're playing the team that many people believe is the worst team in the league. We just, we have there's nothing about us that should be coming in, taking anything for granted. If we lose to the Patriots, I don't know, man. I don't know what happens at that point. I really don't.
It won't be one of the big guy locks. I'll tell you that much. Okay, I'm not, betting the house on the Jets right now. There's no way. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are screaming, clean house after this year, bring back Sexy Rexy and Tenenbaum.
I think that's idiotic. I just you don't go backward. Look, the Jets.
I hear you. Vrabel.
I like Vrabel, but again, though, Vrabel is a guy who, he's had his shot. He's had his run. I'm always a believer in, instead of getting this guy who's Vrabel is somewhat of an exception. I would be okay with Vrabel. I would not be angry with Vrabel. But if we get Vrabel, then in my opinion, there would be a caveat that you're going to get an offensive coordinator who's one of these young wonder kids, like the guy from Detroit or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Some guy,
but not as the head coach.
No, yeah, as the OC.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I could deal with that. But then you got to bring in a GM. First, you got to bring in a GM and then the coach, right? You don't want to bring in a coach, then a GM. I never think that works well. You heard about Saleh?
That he was
he's working with Green Bay.
With Green Bay, sure, of course.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah,
he's working with the Green Bay offense.
Interesting.
Well, and now what they said is, I forget what other team they did the same thing on, but he works with the offense and lets them know what the defense sees and what the defense might do to combat this or that. Well, and some other teams are using that, and it works. I mean, look,
that's what he was supposed to do. That was the whole thing in the offseason, that he was going to start being more involved in the offense, and that was what he was supposed to do for the offense this year on the Jets. But clearly, that didn't help our offense, produce any.
Right. Well, I mean, again, Nick, if the guy tells you this and that and this is going to happen, and guys don't block, it doesn't matter. I think Saleh. Look, man, I don't know. You tell me. The roof we'll see. But has the defense regressed without Saleh there? Because obviously it has, right?
No.
No,
I don't think
we gave up 100 more yards this past weekend than we did the week before. We're going to see what it goes after this, Nick. We're giving up.
Some of that is the teams that we're playing against.
Okay, Nick. Okay, but we're supposed to be a good defense, and we're getting steadily worse.
I think that the defense has been bad all year. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's gotten worse since Saleh. One note on Joe Douglas. I know I'm pretty sure I sent you this tweet from Michael Nania. So many of the Jets' current woes can be traced back to whiffed picks early in JD's tenure.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Rodgers here and everyone he brought with missed on Zach? Why is Tyron here? Missed on Becton. Why are they constantly shuffling through cast-off vet wide receivers? Missed on Mims and Moore. And, there's definitely some truth there. I know everybody likes to talk about that one great draft that Joe Douglas had, but he's also had some really, really big misses. And, I don't even think about guys like Mims and Moore, but, when you take a receiver in the second or third round, you're expecting to get a starting caliber receiver. And those are just absolute whiffs. And, Joe Douglas overall, like you said, if you're going to start making wholesale changes, it would only make sense that the first change you make is that one.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't see them keeping Joe Douglas after this season. And I don't think they're going to keep Ulbrich either. I mean, this is a very knee-jerk reaction to only 2 games, but I don't know, man. I don't know that he's ready to be head coach material. I don't feel like he's come. Listen, I feel like he's put in a horrible position.
Horrible.
But if he was going to be able to create something, he needed to hit the ground running and something about him just get this team up and going. And that clearly hasn't been the case. And I'm not saying that's all his fault, but it hasn't happened either. So I don't know.
I still think that if he finishes strong and, it seems like the team's behind him, he might have a chance. But yeah, most likely it's going to be an absolute cleaning of house with, and then what happens as far as Rodgers, because, now we got Devontae and you would think that Rodgers wouldn't want to go out like this and that he would want to play a full year with who fucking knows what's going to happen with all that. And now we got Hassan Reddick. He's come in. Let me ask you this question. How do you think he's received by his teammates?
I don't, Nick. I think he's received fine, man. I don't think these guys get into that shit, man. They're such professional athletes that they don't get into it and feel like this guy betrayed us somehow. That's business, man. We ain't getting involved with the business. You're here now. Let's play.
Yeah, and if to me, I feel like I would feel that way more so if I was a teammate. But the thing is that the Jets didn't concede at all. They basically just said and did what they always wanted to do. So this guy just, he didn't gain any ground. Now he comes in. He's got a very incentive-laden contract to be able to maybe get that money. And yeah, I don't know. I'm
annoyed. I might be annoyed, but I'm a fan.
You don't,
as ball players, they all understand that. Listen, man, that this guy tried to handle his business. His business didn't work out as well as he would have liked, but. At the end of the day, that's the business side of it, man. You on the field now. We're brothers. Let's play. I think that's how they're going to look at it.
I know that's what they say, to the public. I wonder if everybody actually feels that way behind closed doors. As far as him showing up, I don't know if you caught any wind of this, but there was like a video where he's walking in. Are you like clicking a lock or something like in the background?
No.
Doing something with your hands?
No.
There's some noise in the background. All right. So he comes in and as he's walking in, did you notice that and many people in Jets world, him walking into the facility, for that not into the facility, but walking to that first day of practice out to the practice field. I heard some cats comparing him to James Harden, saying he was looking a little soft in the middle.
Which is that Nick, come on, man. You come in this late, you might as well walk in with a shirt that says hammy.
Right. There's no way that he can be, in the shape that some of these other guys are in, and definitely not built up that callus as you always like to talk about. We're going to see. He's going to play this Sunday against the Patriots. Devontae, I heard, what kind of called some teammates as far as like the lack of seriousness and the mindset and everything. He said he didn't want to do that so early into a tenure, but there's no time to waste. We got to get it done now. I like what he had to say. Yeah, he said some shit like that. Yeah. I came out today. I like it. I like what he said. Come on, man.
Good.
Let's go.
We need more of that.
We need more people challenging people. Exactly.
And hey, you know what? Like people say, listen, you can get on Ulbrich all you want and say, hey, man, Ulbrich has to do this, he has to do that. At the end of the day, the culture is formed by the players. And none of those, if you're telling me they were flat at halftime, which I can't even understand.
What does that even mean?
Right. If they were flat, was nobody at halftime, just raising hell in that locker room? Was Ulbrich just sitting around like, reading and, using a pencil in his ear to like do a crossword? What's going on? Why is nobody screaming and going bananas in that locker room?
And to me, it's not even necessarily about having
break a blackboard.
I don't even think all of that needs to happen, but there has to be a certain conversation about, okay, first and foremost, coaches need to be talking about, hey, they did this, we need to do this. Clearly, the Pittsburgh side was doing that during halftime, and our team, like you said, I don't even know if they were, they're not even sophisticated enough to be doing crossword puzzles. They were doing like word searches and shit. And no
Sudoku.
No Sudoku at all. They were in there playing fucking tic-tac-toe. And then we, come out and yes, there does need to be something from somebody within the team, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a rah fire and brimstone, like you said, breaking a chalkboard, which I don't think there's any chalkboards anymore, Dad. But I do think that somebody needs to be, before we go out there looking around and being like, hey, all right, listen. Let's get out here and let's get after it and let's finish this and let's get this season started and finish this season correctly. And it doesn't seem like we have enough of that right now, or maybe we do and we just don't know how to execute it. And we play against a decent football team, and they run all over us. They figure out a way to stop our offense and hit a few big plays, and the game's over.
You can't be a football team with a bunch of guys trying to tiptoe everywhere. Okay, football is a game that I need my team stomping onto the field and stomping everywhere. We're stomping. Okay, no tiptoeing, stomping all the time. Literally and figuratively. But it looks like we're just, we're friggin' Tiny Tim out there.
It really is very, very, very tough to watch. And, we have quite a few more Sundays of this. Luckily, most of it will be on Sundays, with the guys and the overshadowing of all the other games that are going on. So we won't be on primetime so much anymore, but it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out. Like you said, it seems inevitable that there's going to be big changes, in the forefront. And
we're on primetime in like 2 weeks, Nick. We're on against the Texans on Thursday night again. And we're going to get smashed by the Texans. I'm sorry. We're going to get smashed. I think we're on, Texans? Prime time?
We're going to get smashed by the Texans. CJ
Stroud is going to go bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, him against our secondary, and especially DJ Reed. I don't know exactly what's going on with him, but he's got I don't know. Yeah, next Thursday against the Texans at home. Jesus, yeah, that
not good.
That could get real ugly real quick.
That could get really ugly on a primetime night, and that means all the tongues will be wagging on Friday about the Jets.
Oh, gosh, man. Well, we shall see how it all plays out. And to me, this next game against New England, it's going to be interesting because it's like, do we just go out and if it's a close game or we lose, then just, go ahead and pack it in. And if we just, we need to blow this team out. And then, you blow this team out and then you figure out a way to win that Thursday game with a quick turnaround against Houston. And all of a sudden, hey, I'll start believing again. You don't need to give me too much to figure out a way to build up some hope. But right now, they're not giving us anything.
Well, and another thing, I just want to throw this one last stat out there. And I'm telling you, Nick, you have to commit to the run. Okay, we had like 39 pass plays and 15 running plays. Okay, Pittsburgh had much more running plays and much more yardage, but they only averaged like 0.2 yards, like 0.2 of a yard more. What that says to me is that they committed to the run more and they had a couple runs that were long.
But is some of that,
because they were ahead.
They were ahead. I mean, they had like Najee had a 34-yard run. Brees's was only his long run was only 13. So yes, they did.
And Brees did some good things in the pass game.
Yes,
great.
Yeah.
Nick, we have to run the ball more than 15 times a game. I don't give a fuck what is going on. We have to run the ball more than 50 times a game. And what I'm saying to you with Pittsburgh is that, Nick, you have to commit to the run. You're going to have a lot of runs that are no gains or 1 yard or 2 yard, and then you're going to have some runs that are 20 yards.
But isn't this supposed to be Albert's thing? Isn't this a thing that he's supposed to do? Like, didn't he say when he took over that there's going to be a certain thing about an identity and how we play and running the ball that I'm going to implement, and none of it's happening?
Okay. Yeah, it's not happening. You have to commit to it. And, the offensive linemen get into a groove. Let's go. But no, 15 runs a game is not nearly enough.
Tyron Smith is a
oh my God
joke. Dad, I thought this guy was supposed to be a Hall of Famer. I thought that, he was an all-pro player not long ago, and he looks horrible.
Yeah, some of these guys are looking like, 20 pounds of bubble gum in a 10-pound bag.
10-pound drum. Yeah.
I mean, it's brutal, man. This guy, he's getting beat sometimes so badly, Nick.
Where guys are just literally running right around him, and he's like barely getting a hand on him.
And Aaron Rodgers doesn't see or hear this heat-seeking missile coming to his back.
There's a couple times where he's gotten up and he's looked at his offensive line. And honestly, in sports, I don't like when guys like show other guys up. But as a quarterback, when you get fucking rocked, I think it's okay to look in that lineman's direction and be like, yo, what the fuck, my guy?
Bart suggested today, he said, I would sit Aaron Rodgers for this Sunday. He said, I would sit Rodgers and Tyron Smith because they're both dinged up. We got a quick game coming back. We can beat what's his name without him. Let Fashanu start and let Tyrod Taylor start, and let's beat New England. But if we did that and didn't beat New England,
there's just zero chance that happened.
No way.
There's no way that anybody involved would sign up for that. A-Rod would be flipping. Tyron would be flipping. The coach. There's just okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. Thanks for the soundbite, Bart, that you decided to put out there. But
Bart's my man.
I love Bart. Bart is great. One of my favorite things that Bart says is, the whole thing about Bron and Bronny and Bryce, because Bryce is, much bigger than Bronny is, and it seems like he's going to be more closer to the size as their father. And he says that Bronny's wife wasn't she must not have been taking her prenatal vitamins when she was pregnant.
She wasn't. Bronny. She shorted him. She literally shorted him.
Yo, he be saying some wild shit. Yo, somebody else.
Nice segue to Bron and Bronny.
Yeah, we're not getting to Bronny and Bronny quite yet. We'll talk to them. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But also, real quick, I got to bring this up. Have you ever heard? Because I heard somebody was talking about this today. I forget on what show. I think it was on Flagrant. It was on Flagrant with Andrew Schultz and them, and they were talking about. Have you ever heard Mark Jackson talking about LeBron's wife?
No. And
there's a clip. Okay, I got to share this clip with you. But he says something wild. something wild. Like he's like, I think you're shortchanging Mrs. James. And there's some people conspiracy theory wise say that after he said that, very soon after, LeBron Bron was like, get this motherfucker off the broadcast immediately. But he says something wild about LeBron James's wife.
I'm shocked you downplayed Savannah. He said she was all city. James again from downtown. And I'd hit out the park, no question, with all due respect.
And many people, he said he would hit LeBron's wife out the park, is what he said.
Mark Jackson said this?
Yo,
Mr. Religion?
Mr. Yeah. Well, listen, we know that don't mean nothing.
I know, but you're speaking like that publicly? Come on.
Yeah. It was. I mean, obviously, I think it kind of
got
away
man's
from him.
Wife? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?
He said, I'd hit Savannah out the park, no question, with all due respect. He added with all due respect, though. So
that's bullshit. I don't want to hear that with all due respect on the back end. That's weak. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Where did he say this?
He said this on the broadcast.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's insane.
Oh, but then apparently he says that like he was referring to her softball career or something like that.
Stop it. Stop it. Now you're embarrassing yourself. I'm embarrassed for you. Come on. Stop.
Yeah. Come on, Mark. Come on. I don't know. Though, I will say, Mark Jackson, he does a podcast with his son. So we should be giving them some love.
Hey, maybe we could do something with them,
I don't know. I don't think I'll be out on the streets screaming about Jesus with Mark anytime soon.
Right,
but I would love to pick his brain about basketball for sure. Mark Jackson, one of the smartest basketball players ever.
Absolutely.
And a New York legend. And
Absolutely.
as many Knicks fans from that time, which was a little bit before mine, say, if they would have kept him with Patrick, who knows what could have happened.
Yeah, no, that was a great time, man. I mean, it would have been something, keep him and Bernard King and all them together. It would have been something.
If you're feeling the content or you think we are two loathsome, offensive brutes and yet you can't look away, give us a thumbs up or 5-star rating. Make sure you subscribe and or hit that notification button on YouTube or wherever you're listening. All right. So last Sunday night was really the Sunday night of horrors. The Liberty did get it done. They got the championship. Game was a bit of a slop fest. Breanna Stewart and N.I.C, I think, were combined 5 of 34 or something like that. They did not shoot well. N.I.C was 1 of 19, but they ended up getting it done. They had the game went into overtime, and every single game in that entire series was extremely close. Great series overall. I will be honest, I really watched like the last few minutes and then overtime, just because at that point, it was kind of out of it for the Mets. So I was able to put them on the smaller screen, and the Jets were beginning to shit the bed as well. But hey, good for them. First championship in New York for quite some time, which is cool. You had the Giants getting crushed that day. Saquon running all over them, 17 for 186. That's a tough one for Giants fans. I'm not going to rub it into to the ones that I know watch this podcast. So I'm not going to rub it in for them too much. But the real horrors that night were for us, our magical Mets, their season coming to an end. They lost to the Dodgers 10-5. Sean Manaea did not really have it. None of our pitchers did. Other than Sugar. Sugar turned it on at the end. The guy that we always said, hey, if we're going to end up doing something, we're going to need this guy to, get right. And he did seem to get right at the time that pretty much everybody else faltered. We just seemed to run out of gas. We end up putting up 5 runs. We start off the game like we have in every game in that series that we lose, by just opportunity after opportunity slipping through our grasp and us not having the ability to cash in when we have men on base, and the Mets go home. And I know there's a lot of people who are saying, I'm still so happy with what this team did. I'll never forget what they did. They were playing with house money. It's a team that I'll always remember. And I understand that sentiment. But personally, as somebody who has never seen a championship in my professional sports life, I guess I saw one, but don't remember it with the Mets when I was 2. And I have years like 2006 and years like 2015 where you said, we went on this great run and we have this good team and there's better years and better things to see ahead. I'm over that shit. You know, there's a small part. Listen, I'm happy that they gave me something to continue to root for, but I'm tired of getting so close. And I have learned from my own experience, especially in baseball, this thought of, hey, we have a great foundation and all these things in place and we're going to move forward. That's not something you can count on. I feel a little bit better about it this time because it's not necessarily just about what I see on the field, but it's what I have in my ownership box and what I have when it comes to my president of baseball operations. But at the same time, there's only so many times you get to be a Final Four team, and you don't cash in and you think, hey, well, we'll be back next year, and it could be another 8-9 years before you get back there.
Yeah, listen, everybody's saying, oh, we had a good run and whatnot. I mean, listen, that's, we lost. So what else are you going to say? But I hear you. You want to finish the job. I didn't think the Mets had enough to finish the job this year. But, when in baseball, if you're on a magical run, anything can happen. The Dodgers are a powerful team, man. Their lineup is extremely formidable. And, I mean, those guys up top, man, between Ohtani, Betts, and then Freeman, if he's healthy, they're a real hard trio, man. And then the guys behind him, that guy Edman, okay? Who is this guy? I never heard of him before. He was a midseason pickup. He crushed us, Nick.
Crushed us.
And then Max Muncy, too,
Muncy doesn't go out of the zone, it seems like, ever.
Never goes out of the zone. They're very smart, man. A very smart team the way they played. I didn't think their defense was so outstanding. I thought we played well, but, sometimes, their pitchers got the best of some of our guys. And, I don't know. We'll see what happens against the Yanks.
It came down to clutch hitting. That's what it came down to. We had the opportunities. We left the guys on base. That's what it came down to. And, we definitely would have liked to see our pitching be better. I think going into this offseason, which should be a very interesting one. Did you see Stern's interview today? It says, we have an enormous opportunity and money to spend. Stearns, he's been dealing with that tight Milwaukee wallet. He's probably like, yo, all right, now we got a little bit of team, and I got Uncle Stevie and his checkbook behind me. Let's fucking go. All right,
is there any way we can sign Soto and Alonso?
Oh, I mean, can we? Absolutely. We absolutely can. And I don't think that listen, especially after the year that we had, I don't think there's any part of Steve Cohen which is going to say we're spending too much money. Because keep in mind that he's in the middle of putting $8 billion into the outside. So you can't. So you want the team to be as good as possible. Now he's just learned from the Scherzer and the Verlander experiment that we can't go with these old fucks and just go ahead and just shit the farm system away. But we've built up the farm system in cutting those guys loose last year at the deadline, and now I've my whole Pete thing has never changed. Sign Pete. We have to sign Pete. We will sign Pete. We're going to let him test the market. He's going to go out there. There's going to be these people that offer him money, but I don't think that Pete's going to get a stupid offer that's just so wild that he's just like, damn, I can't not take this. I don't think that any team's going to do. Right. And because this is baseball, whatever that case may be, we can match it. You know what I mean? And so there's nothing stopping us from doing that other than Steve Cohen saying, I don't want to spend that money, or David Stern saying he's not worth that money. And, I don't even want to explain more for, the umpteenth time why it's so important that I think that we keep Pete Alonso, and I think that we will. Soto, I don't know. See, the Soto thing to me is more of a pipe dream just because clearly, depending on what happens in this series, I think even if you get to the World Series and lose, you feel like you want to come back with that team.
Exactly,
and
man.
I just can't see how. I don't see how the Yankees let him get out of the building, especially to the Mets. I just can't see that. And he's the player that if you're going to step up and fucking go ahead and spend the bag, he's the guy that you do it for. He's 24. He's a generational talent. If you're going to do it for him. So I don't necessarily see that. And to be honest with you, I haven't even really dove into, the different free agents and who I like. I know that I did see that we're not bringing back Adam Ottavino. Thank you, Lord. Don't ever want to see him ever pitch for the Mets ever again. And then also, I don't want JD Martinez back. He seems like he's old and aging. If he wants to become a hitting coach, that's cool.
Yes.
But I don't need to see him just waving at breaking balls off the plate and looking at his bat longingly anymore. No, I don't need any more of him. I would love to see Winker back. I know that Phil Maton, $7.5 million team option. You bringing him back?
No.
No, see, I think you bring him back, but you just have him in a less high leverage situation. You Phil Maton, I know he didn't perform well this year in the playoffs. Phil Maton, from the time he got to the Mets, did perform well in the regular season, and his playoff numbers overall, other than this year, are pretty fucking good. So to me, $7.5 million, I think market value, that's not horrible. It's a team option. So you bring him back, but you bring him back being a guy that maybe, goes in the 6th, possibly the 7th. But you're not really, you can't bring him back as your setup guy.
No. The thing he does best, Nick, is this. He does that really, really well. Come on, forget that guy. No.
He just watched the ball sail over his shoulders out of the park, for those of you that are just listening. But yeah, man, it's listen, I think that 7.5. I don't know exactly. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert on the going rate for relievers, but I think that he could be a guy in your bullpen, just not your setup guy, and probably
get back Nunez next year. Hopefully, we have some other young talent.
He's one of those guys, though, Dad. He was never as good as he all of a sudden was this year. Nunez.
Okay. Well.
So he's also one of those guys, as we know in baseball, that there's a good chance that just never happens
up and
again.
Down. Yeah, but okay. I'd rather bring back a guy and he shits the bed after having a real good year this year. I would feel much worse bringing back a guy who shit the bed this year, especially in the clutch moments. And now I bring him back expecting something different. No, I don't want to see him again.
I hear you. One thing that I look at is, so Sean Manaea, he has a player option. I mean, he has a player option. We have a team option with Maton. Sean Manaea has a player option, and with the type of season he had, he's probably going to get some more money. That guy, he was super emotional after the game. I'm not sure if you saw his post-game interview. And he definitely just felt like he kind of let his guys down. I like him a lot. I would really, really like if we were able to, bring him back. If we can't bring back Quintana, I wouldn't be devastated, but I think Quintana's a good inning-eating, fifth, back end of the rotation type guy.
Back end of the rotation, and
that you're not looking to make starts in the playoffs. In the
playoffs, bring him in for long relief.
His last start, he wasn't that good, but his 2 starts before that for the Mets, he did pitch well. So we got to keep that in mind with Quintana. With Quintana, it's just his stuff never comes close to blowing you away, and if anything, it underwhelms and does the opposite. So as soon as it goes bad for him, it's just like, this guy, he don't have it,
right.
I think that Peterson, you got to look at Peterson coming in next year as like a top line starter. This guy's a fucking number 2, 3 guy in your rotation.
Peterson's the man. I love Peterson.
Gotta love Peterson. I like him a lot. And I think that he's definitely found something and, really should blossom coming back with a lot of confidence. And then you have, who else? You got Severino. We had him on a 1-year deal. So we'll see exactly what happens with Sevy. And then you got our guy, Kodai Senga, hopefully giving us a year of health and being the ace that we expected him to be.
Right.
And on the other side of the ball, if we can bring back Pete Alonso, and then, Vientos is looking like a star.
Right.
And, obviously at second base, you got Squirrel. We'll see what happens with Iglesias.
What about Acuna?
I think all that's in play. I think that's all. I'm just saying that,
what about Ronnie Mauricio coming back after the injury?
Yeah, he's got an uphill battle ahead of him because of our infield is looking pretty stacked at the moment, especially if we re-sign
might have
Pete.
to move him to the outfield. I don't think we're bringing back Marte.
I think Marte has 1 more year.
Does he? Oh, okay.
I believe he has 1 more year.
I think he's gone.
Let's see, Starling Marte contract, but listen, I think that going into next year, it's going to be an interesting offseason. Okay,
what about Tyrone Taylor? What about what's his name? The other guy. What's his name? The former Yankee guy.
Who are we talking about?
Outfield.
Oh, Bader. You talking about Bader? I don't ever want to see Bader again. Get Bader out of here because this is the thing about
good
it.
Fielder,
is
but he's
a good fielder. Look, but Tyrone Taylor is a slightly worse fielder.
Slightly worse. Very
slightly worse, and a way better everything else. Yeah, Marte's on the books for $20 million next year, Dad.
Oh man, okay.
So yeah, Marte's going to be in the mix at that 20 for sure.
And he's only playing 120 games.
Right, but I like Marte. Marte was great in the playoffs as far as his bat.
He was clutch. Yes,
he was clutch in the playoffs and had great numbers. I think he had the highest hit for average, more so than anybody on the team. I'm just excited to go into this with. It seems like competent, management, and to go into next season hopefully with some optimism and also some knowledge from the team that, hey, we can't start slow. We have to come out from the very beginning, at a high RPM and getting it done. Question for you, because I think this is an interesting one for us Mets fans. Who would you rather see win the World Series, the Yankees or the Dodgers?
Oh, I don't really care. I don't root. I obviously won't root for either team. Honestly, Nick, this is a series that I can just watch. I don't really care who wins. If I was in New York, I would hate it if it was the Yankees, because I wouldn't want to hear all my friends who are Yankee fans and walk the streets with all these Yankee fans losing their minds. But I'm not. I have zero rooting interest here. I really do. Simply listen, some of my Yankee friends, yeah, it'd be great. No, forget that. I don't care.
So I typically would say that I would like to see the Dodgers win, just because I don't want the Yanks being one up on us and having some whole thing where it's like, all right, well, the Yanks, they took care of what the Mets couldn't take care of. So that's typically how I would feel. But for sentimental reasons, for my guy, rest in peace, Michael Gubitosi, who is a huge Yankees fan who we just lost, and I think he's looking down on the Yanks, and hopefully he's one of their angels in the outfield. And for that reason, and for his son John, one of my best friends in the world, a brother of mine, I would like to see the Yankees go ahead and get it done. And I don't like the Dodgers. I just don't fucking like them. You know what I mean? Like I don't. There's been Yankee teams before where it's just like, I just don't like these guys. I don't feel that way about this Yankees team. I really am indifferent about them. And this Dodgers team, I haven't really liked them for a few years now. Long before anything with us. Just they're the kind of the big bad wolf that goes out and just signs everybody. They're the evil empire now, like what the Yankees used to be. And so I would like to see that. I think Ohtani is I think he's good. I think he's a great player. And I just think that their whole story, the way that it was covered, like the hatred of the Mets in the media is wild. Like I saw somebody put this whole thing about like the graphics. They made like a graphic of all of the Dodgers with a chain around their neck that said like World Series, like imitating our OMG chain thing that we do, about like Ohtani knocking out Grimace or something like that. And then like even like little things like as we're watching the game, they would say things like there would be graphics that say like Ohtani in 3 batters. And it's like, all right. I mean, there's never a Lindor in 3 batters. Like, I don't love that. And I feel like I really, really do feel like, I feel this way about all 3 of our teams, the Knicks, the Mets, and the Jets, but especially with the Mets this year, there seems to be both in the commentary by the analysts, that are doing the game, and by the social media of, both ESPN and Fox. Like, it's like they got something out for the Mets, and I'm over that shit.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that. I mean, Smoltz, he's Mr. Braves.
But I didn't see.
I didn't have a big problem with Smoltz.
I got it the least from Smoltz. I thought the team that did the Phillies series, they seemed like they were just openly rooting for the Phillies. I actually thought that Smoltz was being very fair, and I enjoyed his analysis overall.
The whole Ohtani versus anybody else thing, I don't really see that. I mean, Ohtani's the biggest star in the game right now. He's the guy. So they're gonna pump him no matter what, versus anybody, because he is the biggest star in the game. He is. He warrants that for what he's doing. I mean, we've never seen a player like him in anything you or I have ever seen. Absolutely. And I mean, he's greater than Babe Ruth was doing it at the time, but we'll see if he comes back and pitches next year. I know you don't want to hear it, but he's that guy.
He shouldn't even be playing. I know that he got that bonus when they made it to the World Series, but it wasn't through his MLB contract. It was through DraftKings. But man, it'll be an interesting series. I mean, obviously, Major League Baseball got exactly what they want with the Yankees versus the Dodgers. If this doesn't, and also Major League Baseball got exactly what they want. But I tell you, if it's going to be interesting, because there's so much talk about baseball and where it lies among like professional sports in America today. If this series does not get good ratings, nothing's going to.
Yeah, no, this series has it all lined up. They should probably get good ratings, and I actually think the series is going to go long too. So I think they're going to get what they want.
I think that it either goes long and the Yankees win, or the Dodgers just absolutely blow them out of the water. I think it's one of those two. I don't think you see the Yankees blow the Dodgers out. But I think that there is a chance that the Dodgers could win in like 4 or 5, just because I do think that they're the better team, especially when it comes to the pitching. But the Yankees bullpen has been much, much better. But that Yankees lineup, man, you look up and down that Yankees lineup, Dad, and there's like some guys in there where you're like, wait, who?
No.
The Dodgers lineup is much deeper, and I think much more patient and just a better hitting team. I mean, you saw what they did to us. They do not fucking get out of the zone. Okay. Nope. They're not chasing anything. And then when they do get into a big situation and they get into a favorable hitters count, they make you pay. So Yankees got they got their work cut out for them, and we'll see if they can, knock the Dodgers out and, get their, what is it, be their 28th World Series?
It would. Yes.
28th. Your favorite player in the entire NBA, Joel Embiid. It has been announced that he will not be playing in back-to-back games. The season hasn't started yet, and they are already starting his load management. He's going to be missing the first game of the season at least. And then it came out today that the NBA is investigating the Sixers' handling of Embiid's participation plan, as with the new CBA, there is clauses in there about, players not getting too much rest and too much load management. Talk to me, big guy. What do you think about this new news about Embiid and his availability?
Listen, I told you, I think Embiid, come on, man. I told you from the start that whole Olympics thing, and I know you want to say to me now, well, maybe he was more in shape. Okay, listen. Clearly, if they're talking about, like I sent you earlier, this foolishness about ramping him up now, was there ramping going on before or after the Olympics? I don't understand. Why did he come down the ramp after the Olympics? Why didn't he just stay on the ramp and continue the ramp right onto the runway and then take off? It's just silly. It's really silly. And if I'm the owner of that team, if I'm the NBA, because this is part of my money, this is part of my product. If I'm the owner of that team, if I'm the NBA, if I'm a fan of that team, I'm furious. Why is this guy playing in the summer? He should have been in a whirlpool all summer, getting massages or something, getting stim sessions.
He lost 20 pounds.
Okay, fine. Eat less, get stem sessions or the cupping or something. He needs all that shit, man, all summer. What he doesn't need is to be pounding up and down the court against players from all around the world. You cannot tell me that that's better for him for his present situation.
Yeah, you got some cap from, the Eastern Bloc elbowing you in the ribs.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Coming down with a hard elbow smash on your thigh. Dude, Nick, it's the most asinine thing in the world to me that this guy was playing ball all summer and now he's not available. That's bullshit. Okay? I don't see any other way around it. It's terrible. And then PG too? Come on, man.
PG. He got the
won't be back for
knee.
At least 3 weeks.
Yeah, Why? They're saying at least. Yeah, they're saying anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. 3 is obviously right in the middle of that.
That looks serious.
Okay, so it looked like the season was over when you see the initial clip. Oh, speaking of this is totally different. But did you see Hutchinson?
His injury?
Yeah,
I didn't.
For Detroit. Okay.
No,
Don't see it. Don't see it. Right, it's one of those that I'll never be able to get.
No. He's got like a Dak Prescott type of situation.
Yeah,
Dak. They said Dak reached out to him.
Well, Dak is one that I somehow I heard that it was gross at the beginning, and I somehow till this day have been able to avoid seeing it because I truthfully when I hear that I try my best. I try my best to not see them. And yes, I heard reactions like that, so therefore I have avoided the Dak one. The Hutchinson one, I saw it, and it's gross. And it almost looks like an MMA fight when a guy goes to check a leg kick and that guy's other leg just wraps around it. It was one of those types of situations. Right. What a shame for that guy, hometown guy, one of the best players, defensive players in the NFL, having a huge year for a team that has real Super Bowl aspirations. So prayers out to him. Hopefully he gets back soon. Getting back to Embiid, and okay, so you've always been just extremely anti-Embiid. I have always been somebody who, even though I don't love his game, have always tried to have respect and recognition for, the caliber of player that he is. all of that totally went out of the window during the playoff series last year, where he became Joel Embiid to me, and that's how he will always be to me. I agree that him playing in the offseason when he has this type of injury history is ridiculous. And then also, I just think that he, in general, has not done everything he can to be the most physically fine-tuned athlete to be able to be available for his team when it counts the most throughout his career. He hasn't been that guy. Now he goes and he loses 20 pounds. You said before that ownership should be upset. I think that this starts with ownership. I think ownership, and I think this is a whole team and a plan to be able to try to get him so that he is at his absolute best. I think they'll probably even say, fuck it, we'll take the fines or whatever if we have to. What we want to figure out is a way to get to the playoffs and have Joel in the best shape possible. I still don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think that if he gets in there, the only way, as we know, when it comes to basketball, you have to play basketball. There's nothing else that you can do that can get you in tip-top basketball shape. You see guys who play other sports, or guys who are friggin' cross-country athletes, and then they play some pickup, and they're like, yo, it's just a totally unique physical skill set. And if he comes back and he's not, in tip top and able to play, 70 plus games or something like that, then you're basically just taking a roll of the dice and hoping that like it all comes together right at the right time. And as we've seen many times before, that's not the case.
Nick, he's that kind of guy, man. And, let's always remember that he did say, if he didn't get injured so much, he'd be the greatest player ever or some shit like that. Which is idiotic. And
he also said something about if he didn't get double teamed, he would be such a great player.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that means.
Right. That's not even. Come on. It's not going to happen. I've always had a feeling about him, Nick. I still feel the same way. It's not going to work out well for him or his team. That's why I told you always I would not want him on the Knicks, because I just don't think that guy. It's going to work out well for that guy. I'm sorry, I just don't. And I think he's a clown. I've always felt that way. And I think I'm being proven right over the years.
Yeah. And now, the thing is that it's easy for me to hate him now because, he's a dirty piece of shit, quite frankly. The stuff that he did. I saw like a montage of what he did in that game that, a lot of people like to say that, that he hurt Mitch. Yeah, he actually didn't. The foot he grabbed was not the one that Mitch ended up needing the surgery on.
He called fork.
Listen, what he did was crazy dirty. And yeah, you could say that maybe, Mitch was off kilter because of that. And that's what ends up happening to the other ankle. So we'll see what happens with them. It's going to be an interesting story. I think they loaded up with a lot of older players who have great histories and, seems like their best days are behind them. And, Maxey, is Maxey going to ascend and become the true alpha dog on that team? I think that's the only way that they ever, get to another level, which is, outside of the second round, because Joel Embiid can't do that on his own.
He sucks. He's the worst.
Did you see that Zion is out with an illness? He's missing game 1.
Is he? I didn't see that. What kind of illness?
Yeah, when it's illness.
What, like a flu or something?
Yeah, something like
COVID.
that.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Everybody's talking about how Zion's coming in.
I saw he looked great. He looked in great shape, but now he's got some sort of illness. I did not hear that. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What about Ja Morant? He's ready, right?
Ja Morant is ready. I actually saw something that Ja Morant is no longer into guns. He has now taken up swords.
Okay. All right, William Wallace.
No, that's the Onion. The Onion put that up. Are you familiar with the Onion? Do you know what the Onion is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Okay, yeah. The Onion doesn't miss. The Onion doesn't miss. They as my man Baum said in our chat earlier today when somebody shared that. But so Zion, he's out. Ja, he's back. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. One of the more exciting players in the league. Last night, there was history made in the league. As we kind of alluded to earlier, let's talk about LeBron and Bronny checking into the game around the 4-minute mark of the first quarter. First father-son duo to ever play in the NBA together. You had Ken Griffey, Sr. and Jr. there watching, and great moment for Bron, great moment for Bronny. Bronny didn't play a ton. He's not going to play a ton. The Lakers looked very impressive in that game.
Really
Anthony
did.
Davis looked like a monster, and with the offense being run through him. And you got to say, early, listen, this is a way too early reaction, but JJ Redick looked like he was, running some shit out there that was looking pretty good. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see how the Lakers end up with this season. They did get that win against the Timberwolves last night, but what did you think about Bron and Bronny, being out there on the court together?
I liked it. I felt good for, it's look, I mean, it's great seeing father son, that whole thing is fantastic. I've always loved LeBron. I think LeBron's a good man and a great ball player, and just, he handles himself properly. He seems to be a good father to his sons and to his daughter, I believe. He has 2 sons and a daughter, right?
Correct.
But he seems to be a very good father. And, man, a lot of people want to give him criticism for this and that and the other thing. Man, forget all that, man. If you got this power to do this, do it, okay? Damn straight, do it. This is a memory you'll never forget. Now go let Bronny play some G League and hopefully build his way up into this league to be a constant NBA player. But and we hope that works out that way. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But no matter what, they'll always have that moment, and that was great. So let's go.
Yeah, that's always been my take on anybody who has any hate for Bron in this situation. It's like, look at the coaching ranks. Okay, almost every coach that I see, that's half the coaches now. When I was growing up, their dad was a coach. And guess what? Right. Their dad gave them a job to be some sort of like intern or whatever, and they worked themselves up the ranks, and then they end up becoming a head coach. This world is built on nepotism. And you know what? I thought that one of the things I thought about when I heard LeBron talking about what a great moment it was and the fact that he got to have it with his family while at his job, when he has a job that has caused him to miss so much of his family and their life growing up. Remember, there was a time where LeBron played all year round, every year.
That's right.
Years upon years, because his team was always in the finals and he was always on whatever type of international team we had. So for him to be able to now enjoy and have this moment and make history with his son, something that he mentioned years ago, talking about one day he would like to play with his son, and it was laughable back then. And then you start to look at the math and you're like, this might happen. And he's still not just in the league, he's an impact. He's one of the 10 best players in the NBA. And Absolutely. So he's able to do that. And Bronny, Bronny didn't jump off the screen, but he also didn't look like he shouldn't be on the court either.
No,
he didn't look like he shouldn't be on the court. I thought it was cool when Bronny, LeBron goes baseline and gets the dunk, and Bronny goes right there, and you could almost see Bronny wanted to like react and like give him some love or something like that. But then they both just kept it cool and got into playing defense or whatever as they ran back down the court. But I can't wait till the game where Bronny throws an oop to LeBron. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen sooner or later. And I think that if Bronny can learn how to hit a corner three, LeBronny. And shout out to my man Cameron, because I did hear him say this on It Is What It Is. And he said he's got to be able to hit a corner three and play defense. And if he can do those things, as we know, you're gonna stick in the league, and especially when you're LeBron's son. And I'm okay with that. That's okay. It's one roster spot in the entire fucking NBA.
That's right. Giannis Antetokounmpo is still on the team.
It's exactly. Come on, Thanasis.
Thanasis, Giannis, Thanos, whatever. He's on the team. Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. I'm interested to see how this thing goes with JJ Redick. When you JJ Redick, it's going to be so much boom or bust, because he's coming in as a guy who just finished playing, who is, did some analyst type shit, and now he comes over and he gets a super high profile job, and it's like, okay, so are you going to be Steve Kerr or are you going to be Derek Fisher?
Right. We're
going to find out.
Nobody wants to be Derek Fisher.
Nobody wants to be Derek Fisher, who I'm pretty sure is coaching like some high school shit in California. He now coaches Matt Barnes' kids, I think, which is hilarious. Yes,
Did you see what LeBron did to Bronny, the prank?
Well, I mean, that wasn't real. That was staged, but yes.
Right, with the cereal or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, that was clearly staged.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
The setting up of the cameras and everything was way too good. It just was clearly staged. But yes, it was a cool commercial. And yeah, they're gonna be able to do so much fun shit with this. They're gonna be able to do so much fun shit with this for forever, man. And as a father and son, they will always have this together.
Why not? Yeah.
Shit. I can speak to that a little bit myself as, this is by the way, this is our 60th episode. Happy 60th episode. But with this being our 60th episode, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what happens to us, whatever, our kids, whoever, they'll always be able to sit down and, listen to us talk for an hour. And I can't believe anybody wants to do that, but clearly a few people do. And, some people, someday the Goodriches of the future will be able to do it as well. But yeah, man, it's very, very, very cool. And I'm rooting for Bronny. I really am. I'm rooting for him to be able to figure out and be, a viable, decent player in this league.
Definitely rooting for Bron.
Okay. Last but not least, a little segment that, if you're not paying attention at this point, then clearly you don't like money. I've been going to Sizzler, nonstop. I got, new little timepiece on and everything, just because I personally let my money ride with something that we like to call the big guy locks. Listen, man, last 4 weeks, we're picking 3 games against the spread every single week. And in the last 4 weeks, hotter than fish grease, 9-3.
Listen to your boy. Went 2-1 last week, 9-3 over the last 4. If you like making money, you need to be watching the big guy locks. Talk to me, big guy. Who do you like this week? All right. So listen.
Hold on. Did you get your spreads like 2 days ago, or your spreads?
No, I'm still on this ESPN side. So you're going to be the spread guy. You're going to let me know, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
I'm liking. What's the Eagles Bengals? I'm seeing. I don't even understand this, but I'm seeing something like the Bengals. It's in Cincinnati, but the Bengals -2.5. I think the Eagles are going to start blowing up a little bit. I think the Eagles beat the Bengals in Cincy.
Ooh, okay. So I actually right now, currently, according to DraftKings, you got the Bengals -2 at home against the Eagles. It's an early game on Sunday, and you like not only the Eagles to cover the 2 points, but you also like them to win. So you got Eagles money line.
I got Eagles money line as well, but I definitely like them with the +2. But 2 points. What difference does that make? You know what I really like? I like the Packers over the Jags in Jacksonville. I'm seeing a line of 4 points. If it's anywhere close to that, I got to lay those points and take the Pack.
Packers -4 is what it is currently on DraftKings. I like that.
Packers are rolling right now. And the other one I looked at. Yeah, no, I can't. I got to stay away from that Cards-Dolphins game. Let's see, Chargers, Bills, Seahawks, Bears, Commanders.
As you can see, people, the big guy locks, they're fluid. Last week you felt you were looking at the Buffalo game, you weren't sure, and then you switched it up, and hey, 9-3 speaks for itself.
That's what I'm saying. So get on board or get left at the depot. I'm going with this last pick is a tough one, but I think I'm going with the. You know what, man? I'm going to go out on a limb here. The Vikings are playing the Rams in L.A. I like the Darnolds and laying the 3 points in L.A.
Okay, and right now it's actually been bet down to 2.5. So you like Vikings -2.5.
Let's go against the Rams. I do.
Okay, so Eagles money line, Packers -4, Vikings -2.5.
You got it. There you go. What do you want to do, people?
Those are the big guy locks this week. Listen, I don't know. Some people, I guess, don't like money. But if you pay attention to this show, then, if you ride with the big guy, you might be able to, buy yourself or somebody close to you something nice.
What do you want to do? You want to be poor all your life, or you want to listen to me? Here's your choice.
Catch us every week on YouTube or wherever you find your podcasts. Please follow, like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification button on all platforms. We really appreciate all the love. You can find us on all socials at @he_did this to me. Love you, big guy.
Love you, kid.